personally. Former first-round pick Donovan McNabb spoke about this on a podcast, saying that black quarterbacks often get asked if they love the game and if they're willing to be the first in the building to work. Questions rarely asked of white quarterbacks. And USA Today writer Mike Jones wrote that, quote, to think that racial bias hasn't factored into the assessments would be naive. Shannon, is race playing a role in Justin FIelds' draft stock?
Well, I think the subconsciousness of it, and like I said, Skip, you can't blatantly come out and say a black quarterback is lazy. There were times that's basically what they said. Oh, he lazy. Now they disguise it. Is he going to be the first in and the last to leave? Now, when you hear him talk about Trevor Lawrence, that's what they say. He's first in, last to leave. You hear him talk about Zach Wilson. He's first in, last to leave. You hear him talk about Mac Jones. Now, the question whether or not and Donovan is absolutely right. Now, what better quarterback? He knows firsthand. Hell, they booed him when he got drafted to the second pick, and they still booed him. When Justin FIelds, well, how much does he love the game? Trevor Lawrence told you that football ain't the end all be all to him. He told you out of his own mouth. Oh, no. He doesn't mean that, but you see how hard he works. He's a hard worker. He's the first in. No matter what Justin FIelds say, you're still trying to pick him apart. He told you he loved the game of football. Ryan Day vouched for him. Ryan Day was, if I'm not mistaken, the quarterback coach under Chip Kelly. So I think he should know a little bit about the NFL system.
I mean, he's viewed as a whisperer, like a guru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a quarterback coach under Chip Kelly at the 49ers. Mm-hmm. So he's been in the NFL. He knows the prep that a quarterback's going to be able, that he's going to need in order to succeed at that level. Mm-hmm. He has said, hey, the guy's a hard worker. He does everything that's necessary to help his team win. But they don't want to hear that. See, because it doesn't fit what they like. We got to find something. Skip, I'm not saying it's just overly. Well, no, I just can't take a black quarterback. I just can't have a black quarterback at the face of my franchise. I don't know if it's to that extreme.
Yep.
But the subtleties of it and the coding language that they use now.
Yep.
You just can't say a guy's lazy. Now you're like, is he going to be the first guy in? That's what you hear from Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the first guy in, he's the last to leave. You heard that about Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. That's what you hear. I hadn't heard that about Trey Lance. I hadn't heard that about Justin FIelds. Why? I guess they the last in the building, the first to leave. Nah. And plus, Skip, you know that it was like COVID. So how much time could you actually spend in the building this year? Are we going to factor, I guess, just break COVID protocols, and then you're going to say, well, he's the guy that doesn't follow directions. He doesn't follow instructions. So if Justin FIelds, I don't know how Justin FIelds, without throwing another pass, without getting sacked, without throwing an incompletion, has all these issues seem to have arisen in the last, 3 to 4 weeks.
Yep. So I'm going to restate my position on this to say, is there some racist element still operating in the National Football League when it comes to drafting? You better believe there is. Is it as predominant as it used to be? No, it's not. Because just for perspective, again, before we delve into this deeper, 5 black quarterbacks have been drafted first overall in this league. Not bad, not great, but not bad. 10 have gone in the top 3. 13 have gone in the top 10. This is in the history of the league.
Right.
But 23 black quarterbacks have been drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. So it's not like repeatedly they're plummeting out of the top 10 into the second or third or fifth round.
Right.
So now back to this premise from Donovan. I know Donovan have nothing but respect. And to your point, Donovan knows what he speaks of when it comes to this. He knows what the code sounds like.
Exactly.
When it comes back into his ears burn from the code. He might be as hypersensitive to code phrases like last in, first out than anyone who's ever played the position.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so I got that, and I get that. Now we're to Mike Jones. He's a prominent pro football voice for USA Today. Back in the day, he covered for the Washington Post, the Washington football team, and he also covered the Wizards for the Washington Times. Been there, done all that. And he gave us an extremely well-written piece in which he examined the Justin Fields dilemma from all sides. Because it's a dilemma because we can't figure out what as he called it, a mystery. I don't know what's going on here because I keep telling you, I'm not going to be surprised if the Jets take Justin Fields at number 2. It would not surprise me one iota.
Okay.
Mel Kiper is the most respected draft analyst, and he has been steadfast from day number 1 that Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft.
Okay.
Well, translation, he's telling you in his code, the Jets should take Justin Fields, right? That's Mel's final analysis, and he is sticking right to it.
Correct.
In his mock draft, he's got Justin falling to 10th for my Cowboys to trade out of the 10th pick so that Belichick can go from 15 to 10 to take Justin Fields.
Right.
So he would fall almost out of the top 10 in Mel's mock draft. Yet, we saw Pro Football Focus just yesterday come out with its mock draft, pre-draft, and what did they say? They had Justin Fields going 3 to the Shanahans, Kyle and Mike, that they had traded all the way up to 3, traded the next 2 years, number 1 picks to take Justin Fields 3rd overall in this draft. Well, that's not all bad, right? That would validate Justin Fields as a professional football player, and I think he's going to be pretty to very good. But you and I both have some issues going on here, which have nothing to do with race. They have to do with tape.
But you and I have issues with all the quarterbacks.
I agree. I got you. But with Justin Fields, just to reiterate, for whatever reason, he went to Georgia where he should have been a superstar. And he couldn't beat out Jake Fromm, and I don't know why. And I don't know what operated under the surface there, but he just didn't transfer. Fine. He transferred to a really good school without a great history of quarterback play. Dwayne Haskins coming in the draft, I just said I don't like his body language. I don't think he's ready yet. I just don't love his consistent accuracy, and so far, so bad for Dwayne Haskins. But does that mean every Ohio State quarterback in history can't play in pro football? No, it does not mean that.
Well, I know, but Skip, there have been 12 of them, if I'm not mistaken, drafted in the first round, and none of them have been very good.
It, but I don't know why.
But he might be the best.
He is the best on overall ability because I love his ability. And I am doing handsprings over what he did to Clemson in that playoff game. Oh, and I've told you,
Skip, he's not a touchdown. Skip, even the year before, Skip, he played well. He made one mistake. He made one mistake, but he played great in that game.
He did. 6 touchdowns against Clemson. He just annihilated. He riddled a defense that was pretty good. It wasn't that bad. And he blew it off the field. And he blew me away because he can get hotter than any of these quarterbacks. And I think that's going to be his legacy in pro football. He can get crazy hot. I think occasionally he can be inconsistent because he had the bad game against Indiana, and it kind of went from bad to worse, and he threw 3 picks and kept Indiana, which was overmatched on talent, in that game. And then he just threw in a stinker against Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game. I can't explain it. Had a QBR of 33, 12 of 27, below 50%. That's just bad day at the office. I don't know. Should we hang our hat on that game? No, we should not. So we get to the black quarterback syndrome that I experienced for the first time in the 70s, and those were the days that I told you my Doug Williams story where I called a bunch of the top GMs, and one of them flat out told me, again, anonymous quote, but he told me,